Money Monday, presented by Oklahoma Central Credit Union.
All right, here we go. It is Money Monday, a segment here at 4 o'clock where, of course, we talk about easy ways to understand and navigate our finances, often confusing. We do it with the help of our good friend and financial expert, Paul Hood, with Hood CPAs, and you are just expanding left and right.
Yeah, we're trying, yeah.
It is good to have you here today. I want to mention Chris's question, if we can start with Chris. It gets a little complicated more on the corporate side, but want to address it. Chris wants to know, how does donating services to charities work on an S-Corp tax return, and what is the max amount you can donate?
So Chris, that's a great question that Chris has. I get that all the time, and it's really irrelevant whether it's an S-Corp or you do it yourself. Unfortunately, you don't get a deduction for donating your time. The IRS looks at what does it cost you, and it doesn't cost you to donate your time. Now, what Chris needs to do is be sure and keep track of mileage or anything that he's out of pocket, and you can deduct those kind of things. But there is no deduction for donating services. And then as far as the limit for what you can deduct for donating, it depends on what type of charity and what you do. It's usually between 30 and 60% of your income, and then anything that you can't deduct this year will carry forward.
Yeah, and for many business owners, those receipts can be your best friend. Hold
Big
on to
time.
those,
yeah,
right?
That's right. Exactly.
Mike writes in this week with a question saying, when a partner is bought out from a partnership, do they have to file with Secretary of State, or is that optional?
So a partnership, it depends. So you can set up a partnership at the state level as an actual entity. A lot of people don't. Now what they do is they'll set up an LLC. And Brian, as we've talked about before, an LLC is not recognized by the IRS. You have to tell the IRS how this is taxed. Is it taxed as a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or corporation? So if the entity is set up as an LLC and taxed as a partnership, then yeah, you should contact the Secretary of State and make sure, especially, you're going to want to if you're the one leaving, because you don't want to be that responsible person, even though you're not legally responsible anymore, but you want the state to know. So if it's an LLC, taxed as a partnership, you definitely should. Just a traditional partnership is not really registered with the state very much, other than the name.
Okay. A couple business questions there. We have a personal one here from Megan. Megan says, I rolled over a lump sum pension to my IRA in 2021. Do I need to increase my RMD for 2021 because of that rollover?
Okay, so the rollover really...
Explain what RMD means, please.
So RMD means a required minimum distribution. The government put it in their wisdom, said you can't defer those taxes forever. So when you used to be 70 and a half, now it's 72, you have to take a minimum amount so the the government can have taxes on it. So that's called a required minimum distribution. It's based on your income and your life expectancy. So RMDs, required minimum distributions, the amount you take is calculated based on the beginning of the year value. And it's not just out of IRAs, it's out of all qualified money. So if you may have an annuity, you may have a pension, or a lump sum out of a pension, an IRA, a 401k, all of those are aggregated, and that beginning of the year value is what you multiply or divide by the factor, depending on which table you use, to determine. So the act of rolling it over to her IRA is irrelevant. But she probably doesn't understand that even if it's not in an IRA, you have to take that RMD calculated on everything.
Okay. See, some of this stuff is very confusing, so we're glad we have you here to walk us through it.
Happy to help.
And if you're watching right now, you have a confusing, complicated financial question you want Paul to break down for us next Monday, you can send your question in right now to moneymondays@griffin.news. We're back after this.